Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for today's video. Today we're looking at ink for Inktober. I wanted to talk about a few different types of ink. This collection here is from Dr. P.H. Martin. This is Bombay India ink. This one here is waterproof, it's light fast and has a lovely range of colours. So this is a really good beginner set if you wanted to buy a bunch of different colours. This ink here is from Speedball. This one is also waterproof ink. This is a huge bottle of ink. A little goes a long way, so you really don't need to start with something this large, but I think I got a pretty good deal on this one, and I was running low on my Winsor & Newton ink. Speaking of Winsor & Newton, this one here is also India ink. So this little bottle is black and waterproof. They also make a range of colours. So I'm going to show you a little blue bottle here. This is just an example of some of the colours. They have a whole range, but I don't believe these ones are India ink, so they're not waterproof. They're more like a liquid watercolour in a way. This one here is Sumi ink from Kuretake. This one here is Copic proof or alcohol marker proof, so you can use this with your alcohol based markers. So if you have Copic markers or Ohuhu brush markers, Winsor & Newton alcohol markers, etc., that will work with that ink. For the inks you'll need something to draw with, so you can either use dip pens like these or you can use paint brushes. The other nice thing is that you can water down the ink, so you can mix it like you would watercolour, so you can get different variations of the colours, so you can have light washes all the way through to your full colour. Another thing I'd suggest getting to use with them is a little palette. This one here is a ceramic palette. Just be sure to clean them really well once you're done. If you don't have bottled ink, you can by all means just use a ballpoint pen ink for Inktober. You don't need to go overboard, but there are some other options like these Copic multi-liners. Those ones are obviously Copic proof. These ones here are also Copic proof. These are Kuretake mangaka fine liners. These ones are purple. And then we also have the staedtler pigment liners. These ones are waterproof, so if you want to use them with your watercolours or other water-based products, you can use that with them. One of my favourites has been this mangaka flexible liner. This one comes in a fine tip and a medium tip that I found anyway. I've really enjoyed using those this Inktober. And this one is the Pilot Pocket Brush Pen. I'm running out of ink in this one, so I need to refill it, but that has real bristles on the end. And that one is Copic proof, or alcohol based marker proof. So before we get started, I just wanted to show you, by all means you do not need to have all of that stuff or even any of that stuff to get started on Inktober. I have just been using my Copic multi-liners and my mangaka flexible liner, so I've used that for these drawings. I've only used those basically two markers or liners to get different variations in my line weight, so you don't need to have a bunch of fancy products to get started with Inktober. So yeah, I've used my mangaka liner and then just my Copic multi-liners, just so I can get those really fine lines. So for today's video, I'm just going to line my drawing here with my mangaka flexible liner and my staedtler fine liner in the 0.1. I just wanted to line my drawing and have different line weights and it be waterproof, because I'm going to use my Dr. P.H. Martin's black India ink, and I'm going to water it down so I can get some different ink washes. I have to apologise sincerely that my video is shaking like crazy here. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. I think I have figured out what the problem is. I just didn't want to waste my footage, so if this is making you feel dizzy or ill, please skip ahead a few seconds to the 5-minute 38-second mark, and then the video will stop shaking. So I ended up having to refill my palette here twice because this was a brand new palette and it had some dust in it, and I had cleaned it out but obviously didn't clean it properly because there was little white flecks floating around in my ink, so I just just thought I'd start again. A little bit goes a long way, as I've said a couple times now, so I only really need to add a couple of drops to my water there. So I'm just blocking in the drawing here. I'm just adding a light wash, different variations just by adding more water to the ink. If you've not tried the bottled ink before, I highly recommend just starting with a small bottle. You really only need a little bit to be able to create a piece. I barely put a dent in the ink that I used here, and I only used a few drops of the ink with the water, so this is actually a really good and sort of cheap art supply to use. You can get a lot of variation with it. If you buy a few different colours as well, ink will last you forever. So with this drawing here, I used a photo reference actually of a friend of mine, and just to balance out the piece I've added this little sort of crow character as her little friend, or maybe a familiar. And I'm just going to block in the background here, just with, it's still watered down, but it's closer to the solid ink than anything else that's in the picture. Now I probably could have gotten a more solid black background if I had have added a second layer, but sometimes I like having the brush strokes showing within the piece. It's, you know, really says how this is something that's been handmade. It just adds that little bit of character. It's really up to you though, you know, if you wanted to add a second layer of ink to get that really bold black background. So one thing I actually haven't talked about in this video yet is Inktober itself and what it is. So this is a drawing challenge, if you've not heard of it before, that was created by Jake Parker back in 2009, so it's been going for a number of years now. And this one is basically, the whole purpose of it is to improve your inking skills, so your line work. This can be a really difficult skill to learn, learning about different line weights and that kind of thing. So this is actually a really great challenge, and probably the most popular challenge that's in the online art community. I have been doing this for a number of years now myself, probably 4 or 5, and in the years that I've been doing it, I have noticed a vast improvement in my work. I still have a long way to go, but looking back at my earlier work, I can see how much I've grown, even throughout the month, looking at the first drawing you've done in the month and then the one that you do at the end. In years I've seen improvement just in that time as well, so definitely a challenge that's worthwhile doing. As I said, you really don't need to have everything to get started with Inktober. If all you have is a ballpoint pen, it's still ink, that's really all you need. This is just helping you improve your skills and learn more about art and what you want to do with your artistic career, or just your hobby if that's all this is to you. I'm just outlining my little drawing here with a little white gel pen just to add a bit more definition and variation. So there's lots of different techniques that you can try during Inktober, so a challenge that I highly recommend. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below, and please hit like and subscribe if you like this video. It really helps my channel. Have a lovely day. Bye.